Governor, it's good to see you here. My office lives with this fierce urgency. There's an American being held right now in Gaza named Idan Alexander. And knowing every day that he's being tortured, his suffering, and that of his family back in New Jersey is one of the central urgencies of my staff and my team. We know that we've seen a lot of the hostage releases happen during ceasefires. And during those times, the pathways to peace are open that would relieve the suffering of innocent Palestinians as well. We know that Hamas cannot remain in control, that they must release hostages and surrender so we can start the reconstruction and secure the safety and security of not just Palestinians, but the Israeli state as well. But again, the grief hanging over many of those who know the families involved makes central clarity to getting this done. I think that one of your most important missions, should you be confirmed, is getting the release of the hostages and aiding to the end of this nightmare that is fueling the suffering of Israelis and Palestinians. And so tactically, I'm curious of your thoughts, especially given the ceasefires that have enabled moments where hostages have been released. You know, during the first ceasefire, we saw releases of numerous hostages and commitments being made. I'm wondering if you can comment on what your thoughts are about how your role could help us get Idan home and an end to this nightmare.
Senator, I appreciate your question, and let me say emphatically that it would not be one of the most important things that I would consider on my duty list, if confirmed. It would be the most important thing. That American citizen from New Jersey that you care deeply about and you've worked so diligently with, and I'm deeply grateful for the efforts you've made with that family. That has to be the first item of business before anything else. Every hostage should have already been home. The only reason they're not is because of Hamas. Hamas, who has used them as bargaining chips, Hamas, who has used them to torture, Hamas, who, when they do release, often only because they feel compelled and absolutely obligated to give them one more day of survival, they do so in the most horrific way by humiliating the hostages.
And I'm going to interrupt because I have one more question I want to get done.
Okay.
And I interrupt you because I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I was there on October 7th. The viciousness and the brutality of that attack that triggered this whole thing lies at the feet of this terrorist organization. So you and I are in complete agreement. What I'm asking, and I'm hoping I can get in writing because I really would like to get to my next question, is that we still have strategic and tactical decisions to make, and you will be one of the players at the table. Your affirmation and confirmation that this will be the most important thing, getting a United States citizen home, I hear that, and I'd like to be able to discuss that with you more. The second question I have is that the Jerusalem Post reported that the Trump administration's pivot to Russia is making our allies, including Israel, wary of sharing intelligence, fearing that doing so could expose their assets. There's precedent for this concern. On May 10th, 2017, while meeting with Russia's foreign minister and ambassador to Washington in the Oval Office, Trump shared intelligence about an Islamic State threat with specifics that came from a spy embedded in the terrorist group on behalf of Israel. Israel press reported that Trump's leak had placed that person's life at risk and cut off Israel from his intel. Now, fast forward, yesterday we learned that the highest-ranking national security officials in the Trump administration, including the National Security Advisor, the head of the CIA, the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of State, and others, discussed sensitive and imminent military operations in a commercial unclassified messaging app and accidentally included a reporter in that chat. This seems to be a pattern and practice in the administration to be using unclassified platforms for these kind of communications. So I deeply value our relationship with Israel. I know you do. Does it concern you that our close ally is now hesitant to share intelligence because they fear the Trump administration and its top intelligence officials can't be trusted and are continuing to get evidence to that effect?
Senator, with appreciation for the question, I can only tell you that I've seen some news reports, but not detailed, and I have no knowledge of what has actually happened. If confirmed, I will work diligently with the President and all of my colleagues to ensure that there is integrity in all that is done. And I have confidence the President will charge me with that responsibility.
Thank you, Governor Huckabee, and I hope we can talk soon about Idan and his horrific reality and getting him home. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.